What's good? It's your boy Logic back in here with another video. Let's get into it. Um, this is the Logic lifestyle, so anything that pertains to logic, which is typically anything that a man does, we can kind of talk about it. Um, I did wanna discuss like how women use logic or lack thereof versus guys in an intersexual dynamic sort of way. Um, I was talking to a friend of mine at work, and we were talking about just guy friends and girlfriends. Um, and he said he's an older dude. He's like 55 or something like that, 50. And he said, I don't want to seem feminine or anything like that, but all my closest friends were girls. And I asked him, I said, how many? I was like, how many? Could you count? I said, because I didn't think he had a lot of them. I just said, how many did you have? Like, could you count on one hand? And I think he actually said he had like 5 girls that he was, close to, that was his friends. Because we was talking about how I said, look, if you're not pursuing a relationship or at least getting sex bare minimum, girls are lightweight useless to you. Now, and you got to remember when I say these things, I'm excluding the exceptions, meaning that yes, I understand that there are girls that can, do whatever and whatever. I'm not dumb. I've been in this world for 35 years. Of course, I know that there's possibilities and stuff like that. But see, as men, we can't work off of possibilities. We have to work off probabilities. You know what I'm saying? So when I say these things, assume that I know that there's exceptions. Just assume that I know that there's exceptions. I don't even know why I have to say this, because I should be talking to other guys that are logical. Period. I don't know why we always have to make this distinction between exceptions, but we have to say it as like a formality or something. So yes, I understand that there are girls that can, be useful and stuff like that. I understand. All right. Now, moving forward. Typically, if you're not pursuing a relationship or getting sex from a chick, she's usually useless to a dude. And what I mean by that is, all right, you're friends with a girl. You're kicking it, you're hanging out. There's probably a 70% chance that the dude likes her right romantically, right? So internally you want to actually upgrade this relationship from friendship to like dating or, like actual boyfriend, girlfriend. You want to do that. Whether she sended you signals that wasn't going to happen, or you're afraid of doing it because you don't want to ruin the relationship, the friendship, or whatever's keeping you from like actually doing it. As long as you sit in a spot where you don't want to be, she's being useless to you. Like, because you're basically doing something you don't want to do. And if you're doing something you don't want to do, I don't see how that's useful. All right? So until you actually go after the chick and say, hey, man, like, we've been friends for a long time and, we've been getting along, and I just wanted to tell you that I got feelings for you, and I really want to, like, move this to the next level or whatever, however you gonna say that, right? And then at this point, this is where you either blow up the relationship or move forward to something better. All right. So, but up until then, you were just wasting time. So, but back to the guy, the older guy. He said he had 5 chicks, right? That were, I was like, that is weird, But then I asked him this question that answered everything. I said, out of those 5 girls, I said, which of them did you fuck? He said all 5. I said, there you go. You got your use out of them. Like, could you really call them your friends if you fucking them? You know what I'm saying? I understand y'all could probably have an agreement or this, that, and the other or whatever, but can you be 100% sure none of them caught feelings? Or I didn't necessarily ask him if he caught any feelings, but I said, you got to fuck them. If you had a guy friend, you wouldn't be fucking them. And then I said this, think back. If you didn't fuck any of those girls that were your quote unquote good close friends, would you really tolerate their presence as much? I'm not saying you wouldn't tolerate. I'm not saying that you would. Like, let's say when they're complaining and coming to you for advice and doing this and doing that and other, if there was no sex involved, would you sit there as long as you did and dealt with the bullshit if you wasn't fucking? Because the thing is, you was getting value out of that. You was having sex, so you was technically getting value. So, I mean, that was a good setup. I mean, until things get complicated, like, I don't know, that, you know, if somebody catches feelings, then he can get to, but if y'all can keep it straight on the straight and narrow, like, you know, we friends that fuck, like, with benefit, you know, we know the whole story. You see it in the movies all the time. When you have friends with benefits, somebody starts, like, it gets complicated, they get jealous and all this other bullshit. So, but he said, but when he told me he had sex with all 5, I'm like, all right then. Like, back to my point, if you ain't pursuing a relationship or at least getting sex, they're useless. I also asked him this last question. I said, all right, think of all the time. I mean, it was a little of a bias. I understand it could be a biased question, but whatever. I said, during your relationships with these 5 girls that were like close friends, I'm sure y'all gave each other advice and y'all confided in each other to some degree. I said, would you consider your advice, would you consider your advice better than the advice they gave you? Meaning that when you went to them for something, did it ever seem like it was kind of BS? And then when they would come to you with shit, you would give them pretty much the exact answer that they needed? Like, he said, yeah. He said I would agree that my advice probably had more value, or like, you know, like basically when they were giving him advice, it was kind of just like bullshit. And I said, that's my point. See, they were getting value out of you because they were actually getting a good, solid advice and a logical, like, you know, when they're in their feelings, you bring that logic to kind of help them like perceive what's really going on. Men typically, you can't go to a female for advice because they always give you a feeling based advice. They always give you advice that, like, it's bad advice. Like usually, and then usually at like, there's like a universal truth or a way to go about things. Men will typically see that, and it'll usually be gender fluid. It won't, like, you can apply it to both genders. When a girl gives you advice, it usually only works for females. So trying to apply it to you doesn't work, and or it's just flat out bullshit. So if you can't talk to a chick, you know, because she'll never be in her logic, she'll always be in her feelings, meaning that she will be useless as far as like trying to confide in her, and you can't fuck her. And typically girls aren't really into the same stuff that guys are into, like sports and comic books or fishing or something like that. And I remember I said this in the beginning of the video, I understand there are exceptions to the rule, but when there are things that men like to talk about that there's no point in talking to her about because she has no idea what you're talking about, I've just covered all the grounds of usefulness that they don't fit. You can't confide in them for advice. You can't talk to them about the shit that's fun. You're not fucking them. You know what I'm saying? But best believe when they're stranded on the side of the road, or somebody's pursuing them and they need somebody to be the muscle or whatever the case may be, you'll be a great candidate to go over there and bail her out. But I'll say this. At best, if she can lend you money or something, I guess she got some use out of her. Like, but typically girls don't got no money because they bad at like managing money. Like they're like, women hold 80% of the world's debt. Like usually because they're buying frivolous shit like nails and shit. Like they be pinching pennies and shit. That's why, usually the man of the house or the relationship has to kind of like monitor your woman's spending. You kind of got to be like, babe, do we really need that? Like that's when typically you hear that coming from the dude more than the woman. Like, babe, do we really need that right now? Oh no, I guess we could wait or whatever. Like, so we already know women ain't that great when it comes to managing money. So chances are you ain't gonna be able to borrow shit. If you borrow it, it'd have to be like, I give it back to you tomorrow. That way she won't have to go without for very long. So maybe if she can lend you money or something like that, but I already, there's a thing with lending friends money that I don't agree with in general, whether it be man or woman anyway, because when money comes between friends, shit can fall apart real quick. So, like I said, a man and a woman being friends, there's certain things you kind of got to get out of it as a man, or I consider it kind of like a useless relationship. Like I said, I'll take the exceptions of childhood friend, growing up since we was 5 years old, came from the same hood, all that other stuff like that. There's your exception. Okay, I understand that. But back to using logic, all right? See, here's the thing. A man will probably most likely fall for his girl that's a friend. Like I said, it's like a 70% chance. And here's why. You're like, man, we've been friends for a while. This is the shit that's going through your head. Like, we've been friends for a while, right? So, we kick it from time to time. And, and I enjoy her company. Right there, that's the check mark number one. If you can tolerate a girl's company, meaning that maybe she is actually into the stuff that you're into because y'all grew up together and y'all maybe like the same hobbies or whatever. Because usually this is like why a guy doesn't typically enjoy a woman's company is because usually the banter between the man and the woman goes off the rails. Meaning that she'll rant on about something that you don't even care about. You gotta kind of nod your head, say and you gotta keep her entertained. You know what I'm saying? That's typically how it goes between a girl a regular girl and a guy. But if you're childhood friends, y'all grew up, y'all got the same hobbies and stuff like that, like you're enjoying her company. You're genuinely enjoying her company outside of sex. Like, you're not even thinking about, I want to fuck. You're actually engaged. Like, man, like, that's what's up. Like, whatever you're talking about, y'all probably like, oh, yeah, man, I didn't think about it like that. Or, man, yeah, you right, man, that's true. Like, blah, 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 y'all. And then next thing you know, you're looking, and it's been like 3 hours. You're thinking it's 30 minutes. If you can tolerate a girl's presence for that long and actually enjoy it, there's no anxiety or I'm trying, whatever. Like, that's a check mark number one right there. You can enjoy her company. Now, now check mark number two is if she's even semi-attractive or better. That's check mark number two. So she's fairly attractive. She don't got to be no 8, 9, or 10. If she's like in that 6 to 7 range, guys will, I'm not going to call it settling. It's still a win because if you're enjoying her company, she already made up for her looks. Like, of course, you can't go to no 5, 3, 4 and a 3. You can't go that low. But if you can enjoy her presence and not be annoyed, she can be a 6 or a 7, and you be like, let's go. She's a dime in my eyes at this point. And then you'd come to a logical conclusion. Let me try to ask this girl out. That's men logic. That like easy deduction. And in a world where if you had to pick a mate, it would make complete sense to go after a girl that you've been friends with, you could tolerate their presence with, and they're semi-attractive, if not better. Now let's flip it. You're the girl now. You got a guy friend, Same scenario. Oh, we've been friends for a long time. Here's the difference. Yeah, we might have shit in common, but guess what? Girls typically get caught up in certain situations. Like, I'm just going to use like the car breakdown scenario or advice. She will call on you for a lot of dumb bullshit. And because y'all homies, you just be like, it is what it is. Like you said, like y'all have great conversation, whatever. She's going to get additional value. Right? She's going to get what you got plus some. Right? And then let's say you're a decent dude. You don't, you ain't overweight, so you're probably like a 5, 6, 7 or whatever yourself, right? Now, she's going to be fucking other dudes, right? And she might be getting ran through, and then she'll be getting heartbroken, and then she's going to tell you about her heart, and then she's going to say some shit similar to, where's all the good men at? Man, luckily I got you here, man. We have so much in common, and you always there to, to be an ear, and when shit happens, you always seem to be there when I need you. But man, where all the fucking good men at? I keep running to these assholes and shit like that. But man, at least you're here, to help me out. I'll be like, God damn, you see how the logic works? She literally is saying that you're always there, she can count on you, and this and that and the other. But then in the same breath, she's going to say, where are all the good dudes at? And that's my point. Every girl that has a friend zone dude has the perfect mate right within grasp. But they don't see it. If girls had logic, they would be happy. Because they would just grab the dude they had in the friend zone who was always there, who's always making sure you're on the right path and giving you good advice and all this other shit. They would have snagged them motherfuckers up and they would have moved on with their life and had kids and had a great ass family. That's how easy it is. That's how easy it is. If girls applied a little bit of logic, it make complete sense. But they don't. You're the emotional tampon. You're the guy that's going to soak up all her fuckery while she goes back out and create more fuckery. And that's the dynamic between a girl that's a friend and a guy that's a friend. It's trash. It's trash. That's why a guy cannot be friends with a girl, because you're going to run into the chance that you're going to get, you're going to fall for her. And then two, you're just going to be running around, being an emotional tampon. I'm like, no, that's not good at all. So that right there is why it won't work. It just won't work. You can be an acquaintance, you can be cordial, and you can say, hey, it was good, and maybe if y'all in this, if it's like a work buddy, you can have some talks or whatever like that. But you got to keep it short and sweet. You cannot establish a really good friendship bond or nothing, especially if you're attracted to her and you still think you might have a shot with trying to be with her. Once you slip into the friend zone, there's really no way out. I'll tell you this, the way out of the friend zone is waiting until she's 35, 40. Because all of a sudden, girls start gaining a tidbit of logic at 35, 40. Not a good, just enough to, I'll tell you this, when she says I'm settling, if you ever hear a girl say she's settling for something, that's really her applying logic. And which would tell you that everything, most of the time that a guy is, most of the time guy is using logic. So most of the time a guy is settling. Whether it's settling all right, this chick ain't that cute, but she has good conversation. All right, settling. All right, this ain't typically the car I want, but it's cheap and it drives good. Settling. Guys don't have no problem settling on a lot of other stuff outside of relationships. Because guys know that, hey, this might not be the best I can get, but trying to get better comes with risks. And some guys are just happy with just good enough. They don't have to go over the top. Girls have to have stuff over the top. They got to have the best of all things, and they don't want to settle and this and that. And that's why girls get stuck in a cycle of just perpetual bullshit. Eventually they'll get thrown out of the cycle and hit the ground, and then they'll be looking around like at a whole different kind of reality, and then they'll have to they'll be forced to adjust a little bit. But remember, we were already walking around in the reality they just got thrown in, so they might actually see you for once, for maybe a candidate for like a relationship or something. But typically girls, like, they get stuck in that loop of just constantly trying to upgrade. Guys are just like, it's a lot of energy trying to get the best of the best. I'd rather get this shit situated so I can move on to other stuff. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, so like I said, that's just, it is what it is. It's my opinion, you know, or theory, or whatever you want to call it. But if you've been through it, you know, I've had girls that are friends, and I fell for them, and every single girl that I liked that was a friend could not close the deal. That could be my shitty skills in game, but I was fighting an uphill battle anyway. So it's your boy Logic, trying to keep y'all out of the friend zone. I'll holler at y'all guys later.